Hello my friend, in this video I'm going to show you how you can build out a Facebook ad to grow a Spotify playlist. This is actually a video from a free course that I put out to the world called The Beginner's Guide to Facebook Ads for Spotify Success. So if you want to check out the complete course, you can get it for free in the link in the description below. Other than that, let's jump right into it. So we'll switch over right now. Hello my friend, and I want to say right off the bat, congrats on getting to this point, particularly if you've been following the course and you have everything set up correctly. We're going to actually start building out this first Spotify conversion ad, and I'm going to kind of assume that you've built out everything correctly to that point, because we are going to be focusing on actually building out the ad and launching it and getting it out into the world. So like mentioned in the kind of course section above, there's going to be two things that you're definitely going to want to also have prepared before actually jumping into the Facebook Ads Manager. First is a list of artists or genres that you want to target. About 3 to 5 is what you're aiming for, and you do also want to have about 3 variations of a video ad. I'll show you what that looks like, both of those things in this video, to give you a better idea of how you can build out yourself. It's fairly straightforward and fairly simple, so we'll jump right in. So right here is a look at the Facebook Ads Manager. I'm going to give a very quick little tour of how it looks and how it works and all that kind of stuff before diving in. I did remove my face because I want to make sure that you can completely see everything and nothing gets in the way. So let's jump right into it. So basically, the Facebook Ads Manager is broken up into really 3 tabs. The first is the Campaigns tab, and the campaign is where you set the objective for the ad campaign that you want to run. Next is the ad set, and the ad set is where you select what the audiences that you're going to target, where your ads are going to show up, and to who. So this might be like targeting fans of X genre or X artist, hitting them on Instagram, those kind of things is how you set up the ad sets. You can have multiple ad sets within a campaign, and then within the ad set is then the ads. And so the ads is going to be the actual ads, the creative, so the video ad that you're actually going to be showing to the final user, and there can be multiple ads within an ad set. And that's basically a breakdown of how the Facebook Ads Manager is set up. And as Facebook has gotten very popular in terms of its advertising platforms, this kind of setup is very common across a lot of new things like Snapchat and TikTok. They're all kind of following this format, so getting to know it here is going to help you in the long run as well. So the first thing that I would actually recommend you doing before actually hitting that green create button and building out your Spotify conversion ad is grabbing your video files and uploading it to the media library inside of Facebook. So right here I have 3 variations. The idea is to have 3 15-second videos that have different portions of the song, but the visuals are more or less the same. And this way you can have multiple ads inside of that ad set, like I mentioned, and allow Facebook to do the math and use its algorithm to figure out which is the best performing part of the song. It may not always be the chorus or whatever you think is the coolest part, and it's always good to give Facebook more to work with to find the best and optimize the ad all by itself. So I want to give you a quick view of how these ads look and kind of what you want to be doing when you create it. So basically, as you can see here, my recommendation is to do it in this vertical format. And let me just shrink it so you can see the full thing. There we go. My recommendation is to create it in a vertical format and keep it to 15 seconds. This way, what you can do is you can definitely upload it as Instagram story and Facebook story ads, but also by making sure that the most important information, like the album art here, is in the middle. You can actually crop it to be in different formats like the news feeds later, and I will show you that in a second. So the main components of a well-performing video ad is really just keeping it simple and letting the fan or the listener knowing exactly what they're getting into. So what you'll want to do is make sure that you have the song very prominent, as well as your artist name very prominent, as well as the album art. You'll want to have it front and center. You definitely want to keep the album there, and then having listen on Spotify as kind of the call to action. And then it's kind of not 100% needed, but having something like a swipe up kind of animation is something that you can do as well. Other than that, keeping it very simple, having the music playing. I'm not sure if it's going through right now, but just 15 seconds of the song, and then just some slight animation if you can do it. So I make my video kind of spin and turn and kind of fade in and out the background kind of thing. Very subtle. You see it's nothing too flashy whatsoever. The idea is to keep it super simple, super direct. That way the listener knows exactly what they're getting into when they see this. It's a song. They can see the artist name. They can see the song name. They can see, okay, we're going to be going to Spotify when I click on this ad. They know exactly what they're getting into. Super simple. You don't want to go too over the top and crazy. Just keep it nice and simple. So the idea is what you're going to want to do is have these 3 different ads, and they're all just different portions of the song. Other than that, they look exactly the same, as you can see here. Same visual. You don't have to go too crazy, anything like that. Just pick 3 different sections of the song. Once you have that created, what you're going to want to do in the Facebook Ads Manager is head over to the 3 lines over at the top, and you're going to want to head over to the media library. And this is just going to make it a little bit easier to kind of organize things when you're actually building out the ad. So what you'll want to do is create a new folder, and then over here we'll say test Spotify conversion ad. Obviously name it whatever makes more sense to you. And what you'll want to do is then go into test Spotify conversion ads, add in ad elements, add images and videos, and then you'll want to drag and drop or whatever you need to do. You can locate it via the browser or whatever. I'm just going to do drag and drop and upload them here. And it'll just make it a little bit easier, so that way when you are getting into creating the ad, you don't have to worry about making the video and uploading the video and all that stuff. It's all there, and you can just focus on getting the ads created and moving on with your day. So you're going to want to let this upload, and then you'll be ready to move on. Great. So once the video ads have been uploaded to the media library, you can close that out. You can over to the 3 lines there and head back to the ads manager. And now we're actually going to build out the ad. So once you're back in the Facebook ads manager, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and click the green create button, and it should look something like this. What you're going to want to select is conversions. If yours does look different than this, because Facebook is experimenting with kind of how they're structuring this campaign objective page, you might see some different options. If you do see a different look than this, the one you're going to want to pick is sales, and it'll allow you to select the same conversion types that we're going to be doing. But we'll move on from this for now. What you'll want to do is press continue. At this point, it's going to kind of pre-build out your campaign. It may ask you to do something like a Vantage Plus or something like that, where they're going to do some preset settings. You're going to want to ignore that and do manual whenever possible. Facebook is usually going to be trying to force in some settings and stuff like that that will make your results look better on Facebook, but ultimately might just spend your money more than anything else. You've got to remember that they're a business, and they're going to be kind of trying to say like, oh, don't do that. You're going to not hit that many people. Spend more money. Like, you need to watch out for those things throughout this process. But generally, this is kind of what you need to know. So you're going to have the campaign name at the top, and you'll want to say new playlist, whatever it is. Then you're going to want to not declare any categories. That's for if you're doing like weird political ads or anything like that. So you can actually scroll through, and you're going to want to leave A/B test off and campaign budget optimization off as well. Campaign budget optimization is a very useful tool, but particularly when you're first starting out and testing out a bunch of different audiences with your different target audiences that you have, you're going to want to make sure that Facebook is not automatically distributing the budget to whichever one's performing the best. When you're first testing, it's really nice to be able to see exactly how each one of your ad sets are performing, how each one of those audiences are performing, so that you get the best possible data and you get to learn more about your target audience and what works for you. Over time, you can turn this on and just let Facebook optimize itself, but I'd recommend leaving it off on your first kind of campaign so that you get as much information as possible out of it. So then what you want to do next is you can then move down to the ad set level in this little kind of window in 2 different ways. Up at the top here, there's an ad set, and you can also do next conversions ad set over here, or you can press next. However way you want to do it, you want to move over to the ad set level, and over here, this is where you're going to be setting your target audience. So what you'll want to do here is name this whatever you're going to be targeting. I'm going to be using an example that I don't know if anyone's going to even relate to, but we're going to assume that my music that we're putting up here for this ad is female-fronted pop music. So I think it's important to state that. Be as realistic as possible what your music sounds like. So if it's female-fronted pop music, then you're going to want to target female-fronted pop artists. So I'm going to use some interesting examples that I don't even know if you'll know these, but the main one we're going to be targeting is an artist called Kim Petras. Okay, and what we're going to be doing is leaving the conversion event location to website, or making sure that it is selected to that. And then here's really important. You're going to want to choose the conversion event here, and you're going to want to select view content, or what you're going to want to do is select that at whatever music or smart link that you're using. If you're using something like Hyped It, it might be a Hyped It music click or something like that. View content's generally what a lot of them use, or if you're doing the manual setting up the conversion event to a button process, like mentioned earlier in the course, you'll be selecting view content for it. Basically, what you want to make sure is that the conversion event that you're selecting is the same event that's linked to that listen on Spotify button. That's what you want Facebook to optimize around. That's what you want to select here for conversion event. Then what you're going to want to do is select your budget. There's 2 options, daily budget and lifetime budget. I would recommend sticking with daily budget and then kind of just doing the math of how long you'd like to keep it up for. If you're doing about 3 to 5 different target audiences, I'd recommend at least doing something like $1 or $2 per ad set. And also, one thing you do want to keep in mind is that there is a minimum for the ad sets. It's $1 per ad set. So if you're using a different currency, you'll need to keep that in mind. It won't be like $1 Canadian. For me, I usually have to punch in like $1.26 or something like that, whatever it is, to make sure that it is $1 USD. Trust me, they'll warn you if you don't put this at a high enough amount. So you're going to want to put in your daily budget here. And then before I continue, I should warn you that if you do select lifetime budget, say if you're like, oh, I want to drop, I don't know, $50 on this testing campaign, there is the chance that Facebook will just drop that $50 within the first couple of hours, and you're done with your ad campaign. So I would definitely recommend doing daily budget to make sure that you're in control of how long your ads are going out for. So then after that, you're going to want to set your start date. In the future, whenever it is, or if you're ready to go, you can just leave it as whatever time it is now, and it'll go up as soon as it's ready. You can set an end date if you'd like to. With the show more options, I would just not use any of that stuff at the moment. And this is going to be the fun stuff now, where we're actually going to create the targeting for it. So custom audiences is a bit more of an advanced technique. Teach that later, not in the beginner for Facebook ads course. We can come back to that later. We're going to start off with location. So when you're first starting out, there's might be quite a few people that are going to say, oh, target everywhere in Spotify, like anywhere that Spotify is available in the world. And I highly would recommend to not do that, and particularly not at first. And the reason for that is I've mentioned it throughout this course material earlier, but Facebook does have an issue with bot traffic. And in addition to that, what is known about the Spotify algorithm is it's going to find more of the people that you send it. So if it's important to you, for you to have, say, more English-speaking audience, you're going to want to make sure you keep that into account. And second, if you have ads running in all areas of the world, you might get really nice Facebook ad results inside here, but you might be targeting bots and getting a whole bunch of nice results in Facebook, but getting 0 streams. And that's really what you do not want, especially at first when you're first starting out. So what I'd recommend is starting off with like kind of the main line English speaking countries. So I'd recommend starting off with something like the United States, Canada. So you just type it in here and you'll find it. Australia is a good one to start. And then United Kingdom are definitely the main ones. Beyond that, you can also experiment with some safe areas. Are Germany's not bad, Poland could be good, Netherlands can be good. But you're going to want to kind of experiment. That's why I'd recommend starting with like this kind of safe group of locations, and then over time you can start testing them once you know that you're actually getting streams to your song. So we're going to start off with that, then we're going to move on down. Age, I would leave it exactly wide open. This is one of those things where you want to give Facebook as much to work with as possible so that it can find the right people. Same thing with genders, you're going to leave that. Then what you're going to do is head over to detailed targeting, and this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. When you're first starting out and you're first kind of testing, you might want to leave detailed targeting expansion off. This is something that you can test over time, and it is useful, but when you're first starting and you're trying to really dial in what artists and what genres work for you to target, it is nice to kind of keep it very specific by leaving that off. So what you're going to want to do here in the detailed targeting section is right in that first artist that you have. So I mentioned someone called Kim Petras, and as you can see, no results are found. And I did this for a very specific reason, because there's a really good chance that when you first start looking for artists that you want to target, you might be like, oh, I sound exactly like this artist, but it's like a really local artist, or maybe someone that's not quite large at the moment, and you might have trouble finding them as a targeting option inside of Facebook. And so I want to give you a quick idea of how you can kind of get around this. And one of the easiest ways really to do this is to head over to Spotify. And this is just the easiest way for me to get to it, by jumping to my profile. And then you're going to want to type in Kim Petras into Spotify. And then you'll just want to roll all the way down to similar fans also like section. And in most cases, you're going to want to kind of look for like the more familiar names. So for me, I would probably go for something in this example, something like Carly Rae Jepsen. You want to make sure that, okay, this is a female-fronted pop music, so let's pick a female-fronted artist that's kind of similar to what I would have wanted. Let's try Carly Rae Jepsen inside of the search. Carly Rae Jepsen. Bam. And then on the right hand here in audience definition, you'll see that the estimated audience size is going to change. And what you're going to be shooting for is really anything over 500,000 is going to be a pretty decent amount, but you do want to kind of keep it between, say, about 1 million and 10 million is going to kind of be a sweet spot of sorts. As Facebook's been getting better and better at these things, really the larger the audience size, the better, but you don't want to have it too broad and have it so that Facebook has too much to work with. You do want to give them a decent amount to work with, but not too much, if that makes sense. And then one of the last things that you are going to want to do when creating interest-based targeting like this is you want to press the narrow audience button and then type in Spotify. And this will make sure that Facebook's going to target people that like Carly Rae Jepsen, but also like Spotify. So in doing this also reduced the estimated audience size because we narrowed it, and it's now at between 800, almost 900,000 and 1 million, which is still a pretty decent amount. So we'll go ahead and leave this. We're going to go down and we're going to head over to placements. Placements is where you decide where the ad is going to show up to Facebook and Instagram users. What you're going to want to do is, the simplest thing to do is keep it on automatic like this to start, then just press manual, so that way you can see everything it's going to go to. And all you're going to want to do is just deselect audience network. You're going to want to send it to Facebook, you're going to want to send it to Instagram, you're going to want to send it to Messenger. In most cases, it's probably going to mostly send to like the story ad placement, but you want to give Facebook as much to work with as possible so that it can reduce your costs as much as possible. And just for some information, for information's sake, audience network is kind of like apps and websites that Facebook's on, and generally, from just experimenting and from other artists as well experimenting, it just generally might get you good results on Facebook, but doesn't actually turn into actual streams. So it's just getting lower quality listeners. So you're going to want to just turn that off so that you can maximize what you're actually getting out of this. Scrolling down, you can see you can actually customize exactly where you want your ad to go, but I'd recommend leaving it on everything except for the audience network. Then any of this stuff here, optimization and delivery, you're going to want to just not do this. This is a lot for, these are options, especially something like cost control. This is, if you're spending maybe, $1,000 to $10,000 a day on Facebook ads, you might want to start using some of these things and some of these attribution settings and all that kind of stuff. Then you might want to get into it. But if you're, spending $1 or $2 per day, even $30, $40, $50, $100, $200 per day, you're going to most likely want to ignore this. So we'll just keep skipping along. And now we can actually move on to the ad section. So this is where you're going to actually build out the visual of the ad, the thing that your listener, potential listener or fan is actually going to see. So what I would recommend doing is whatever, say, the song name is, the one that I'm using is something called Soul Food. So I usually will just abbreviate it. And then you want to maybe just say Soul Food A. And you can see I've done it a bunch of times there. But that way you can kind of name it similar to what the video file was. So you get some information of like which portion of the song is performing better. What you'll want to do then is then scroll down and make sure that the Facebook page that you're using is connected and the Instagram account that you're using is connected. This is important because you need to be able to run ads on Instagram. You need an Instagram account, and in order to run ads on Facebook, you do need a Facebook account. And it's one of those things too where in the ad in the top left corner or wherever it may be, it will show your Facebook page or Instagram account, and it just also lends some credibility to what you're doing as well. So then moving down, you're going to want to head over to ad setup. You're going to want to leave it on create ad. You can also do things like if you're using organic posts on Instagram or Facebook, you can also hit those, but what we're going to do is be creating our own ad. What you're going to want to do is leave dynamic formats and creative off if it does show for you, and what you're going to want to do is for the format, just a single image or video is what you're going to want to select. Moving down to the ad creative, so this is the actual like video and the text and all that kind of stuff. What you'll want to do is head over to media and press add media, and then you're going to press add video. And then what this is going to do is going to show your media library that you just had. And since you've already uploaded it, you can go over to account videos, and then you're going to want to select business videos, and you can see here that there's all these folders that you created. We have the test Spotify one, and then boom, they're all right here ready to go. So we'll go ahead and press SFA to kick this off, and we'll press next. And then this is why I mentioned that you're going to want to kind of keep everything, the most important stuff like the artwork, kind of in a central area, because as you can see here, you can actually crop it within Facebook, and you don't have to make a separate video ad for the news feed and a separate video ad for the story feed. You can simply go over here to feeds in stream videos, and you can press one by one, and then you can actually press crop, and you can go like this and get what you want in it. I usually would keep listen on Spotify and the artwork, and then you can go ahead and press, I guess, preview so we can have a look, and you can see that's kind of what it's going to look like. You can see here that I left some of the name of the artist in there, so you can go close the preview, drag it down a little bit to kind of make it a little bit nicer, and press confirm. And then you can do this with the right column search results and instant articles as well. I'll just kind of do something similar to this. Nothing too crazy on this because this one usually does not even, like Facebook won't even serve it in the right column search results or instant articles, but you can kind of clean it up a little bit so that it looks a little bit nicer. So then you're going to go ahead and press done, and now your ad is going, the video ad's going to upload and get cropped and all that stuff, so you don't have to do it in Premiere or iMovie or anything like that, which is a real nice time saver. I really love this tip. So then as that's working, you're going to want to set up the rest of the ad. It's very simple. There is text that you can have show up, and you can write some flowery stuff trying to get people to, get to listen to your song. I'd recommend, honestly, not even using it. I never do, to be honest, and it works out perfectly fine for me. If you do want to experiment with any text, try to be more like, you really don't want to say anything along the lines like, listen to my song out now kind of thing. Avoid that kind of speak. No one is going to really respond to that too well. I would recommend actually just leaving it and letting the music speak for itself. Especially if the ad says listen on Spotify and all that stuff, you're kind of good to go. So what you're going to want to do is skip the headline, skip the description, and then what you want to do is you will want to change the call to action, and the call to action is the button that appears here. You can see it says learn more. You're going to want to change this because it is a nice one that's really relevant to us artists. You're going to press listen now, and it's just a little bit more relevant, and it also shows listen now in the story mode as well. On the right here, also at any point, you can kind of preview what your ad's going to look like in all of the different formats, including the story placements. You just click it, and it'll give you that preview as you're creating it. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to type in your music link for the ad that you're creating, or the song that you're promoting. In this case, we are focusing on a playlist campaign because it's just, I talk a lot about it in the course material above, and I'll go over it again shortly. But what you'll want to do is type that in. So I do already have it kind of created. So this is what mine is, and I'm going to punch that in. Music, soul food, that should work. Okay. And it's just going to be double checking, make sure everything works, and it looks like it's fine. I'm going to get back to this in 1 second. We're just going to make sure that the rest of the ad's looking good. So as we scroll down, you're going to want to leave everything roughly the same, and then you will want to make sure that under tracking, websites events is selected, and that your domain is set up as you did in the previous step. That's super important to making sure that everything works correctly. So now what we want to do is just quickly jump into the music link. So we'll go ahead and press preview URL. And this will open it up and make sure that everything is working correctly. If you need help, okay, well, this is okay, they're perfect. If you need help creating a music link, I do have a separate course. I think I mentioned it already in the course material above or in a previous lesson. I'll leave a link to it below if you do need help getting to this point. But I mean, really, this whole Facebook ads course has been about adding the Facebook pixel to your music link, so you should be good to go. But essentially, again, this is kind of what you're going to want to set up. Again, as you saw earlier in the video ad, there's a lot of similarities between the ad and the music link, and then that's going to tie over to Spotify as well. You can see it's the same artwork. It mentions the album name, or it mentions the artist name again, and mentions the track name again. It says listen on Spotify again, all really in an effort of making sure that the listener or the fan always knows that they're in the right place. They see this artwork, and they see this artist name, and they see this song name, and it says Spotify, and they click it, and then they see a very similar experience, so they know they're in the right place. You're not getting too experimental and weird about how you're doing this, and that way they can click listen on Spotify. When they click this button, this will trigger that view content or the conversion event that you set up, and that way Facebook will know that it's done its job, and it'll try to find more people similar to who did click that button. In the example of a playlist campaign, what you're going to want to do is make sure that this button here is linking to the playlist that you've created, and you're going to want to create a playlist that has this song that you're promoting in the ad as the first song in that playlist, and you'll want to also make sure that that playlist has this exact same artwork. Again, it's just the same thing where you're trying to make sure that they see the ad with this artwork and artist name, song name, then they see the music link with this artist name, song name, and album art, and then when they hit the listen on Spotify button, they're taken to the playlist where they see the same artwork, they see the same artist name, and all that kind of stuff. Really trying to drive home that point because that's super crucial, having a consistent experience. It's what's going to make or break your kind of ads, really. And although this lesson really isn't teaching about promoting an upcoming release, this could be the same thing where when they click on listen on Spotify, it can go to a new release, it can go to your profile, all that kind of stuff. In this example, we're sticking to playlist because it is better in a couple ways when you're first starting, and we'll dive into that in a moment. So let's get that ramble out of the way and move on. We're going to head back to the Facebook Ads Manager. And as you can see, everything is quite nicely set up. So what we're going to do next is we are going to close out this ad. And you can see here's a visual representation of how it looks without that kind of campaign ad creator. So if you head back to campaigns, you can see we have new playlists. When you click into it, you can see the ad set. And when you click into the ad set, you can see the ad. So I mentioned that you're going to want to have 3 variations. And this is going to be the easiest way to kind of get this set up. What you'll want to do is hit duplicate. And see, as you can see here, ad set may get 0 views content. They're basically going to be saying, put more money in this. So you're going to want to ignore that. Duplicate your ad, original campaign, show existing things, all that kind of stuff. That's good to go. And then you actually might want to do 2 copies because we are trying to get at least 3 video ads. I'd say, I say at least, but I would say 3 total. You don't want to go too much because too much and Facebook won't be able to optimize properly. So if you do 2, it will be editing 2 at once. So you're going to want to X out of that. And we'll just go into one of the first copies. We'll press edit by that version. We'll go here, change the ad name to SFB so that we can keep track of it. Everything else should be more or less exactly the same, which is really nice. So you'll see that the Facebook page is set up, Instagram account set up. It's already set to single image. There has the old video in here, and we'll address this in just a moment, but you can see the listen now selected, and the music link is already inputted. All that stuff's done for you, which is nice. What you're going to want to do is head over to the media section, hit this remove all trash can kind of button and clear it out. Then you'll want to go to add media, press add video, go to the folder that you had the ads in, and press the next one. So this is just an easier way, so you don't have to recreate an ad from scratch each time as you're doing this. It's just a big time saver. So then you can just go in, select the B version, do the cropping for it, like so, and go ahead and do that for the next one as well, however you want to set that up. And then you can press done. It'll do its thing and kind of crop it, and you've easily created the second variation. And then obviously what you're going to want to do is go into the third one, press edit, change the name to C. And then what you're going to want to do is scroll down. Once again, you're going to want to remove everything on this C version of the variation of the ad, and then go ahead and add it. I won't go ahead and do that again, but that's basically the process there. So now you have one campaign with one ad set and 3 ads within that ad set. So now to make things even easier, what you can do is you can go back up to the ad set level. I did mention that you want to be testing 3 to 5 target audiences, which means that you're going to want to have 3 to 5 ad sets. Now that you have this one ad set with the 3 ads within it, all you're going to need to do is press duplicate, and then what this will do is it will copy everything. So it'll copy all the audience targeting that you set up, including removing the audience network and all that stuff, and it's going to copy over those 3 ads as well. So you don't have to do any of that process. All you're going to have to do is go in to your target audience sheet that you've created. The other example I had was Taylor Swift, who is a female fronted pop artist, and you're going to go in and you're going to want to leave everything the same, set up the daily budget. You'll want to again have a small amount here and make sure that it's daily, and I would keep them the exact same. So especially when you're starting out, if you're going to be running a $6 per day ad set with 3 different options, or 3 different target audiences, I should say, each one should be $2. Keep it, the same so that you give everything a fair shake and get to see what performs the best. Moving down, you'll want to go down. You'll see that the locations will be the exact same, which is nice. The only thing you'll have to do in this instance is go in here, remove Carly Rae Jepsen, and then type in Taylor Swift, who's obviously going to show up. And then you can see in the audience definition, very, very, very large. So in this instance, this might be too large. And specifically, what you're going to want to do is bring this down a little bit. And I will do a quick example of how to do that. So what you'll want to do is go to Taylor Swift, press narrow audience. And what you might want to do is go to suggestions. Those are my personal suggestions. So what you might want to do is go to suggestions under Taylor Swift. It'll do it relative to what's already selected. And you might want to find something a little bit smaller that's maybe a little bit more in your style. So you might want to drill that down by maybe something like another female fronted artist that maybe you sound like, something like maybe Lorde. And then you can see that brought it down to 14 to 16, which is a decent amount, and I think that could work for you. So this is going to target people that like Taylor Swift but also like Lorde, and you can see by doing something like this, you can get a really dialed in fan potentially, right? Then once again, what you're going to want to do is narrow it further if the Spotify is not already showing up. I did have to do a little bit of editing to get this up here, but you want to narrow it once again by Spotify, which is then going to once again change the estimated audience size. As you can see in the right-hand corner over here, it's between 11 million and 13 million, which is again in the sweet spot, so we are good to go. You can see it's all set up nicely, and you should be good to go. As you can see, the audience target's all done. The 3 ads are already created, and you should be good. Other than that, that's really it for setting it up, actually, which is nice. Then you'll want to recreate it so that you do have 3 to 5 different ad sets with different target audiences. That way you can be running some tests. Again, same thing. You just want to press duplicate. Another example that I do want to show you real quick is kind of following that same line of thinking with that suggestions button that I was talking about. So then we'll go into here and we'll type in Grimes, and what we have now is Grimes narrowed down by Spotify. Now, say for example this was under 500,000, and you needed to kind of beef those numbers up. What you could do is remove the end also match here like that, so it's just these two, Grimes narrowed by Spotify, and then you can go over to suggestions, and whatever's in this area here, it'll find artists that are similar to whatever is in that area, and this can be a really helpful tool to kind of help you figure out how to beef up your numbers. So we'll throw in another female-fronted audience there, so it's going to find anybody that likes Grimes or St. Vincent but also does like Spotify, and as you can see, that boosted up the numbers a bit, and that puts us in a pretty good little spot there. And with that really does set up your Facebook ads campaign, starting from the campaign, setting it as a conversion objective or sales objective, then adding in your 3 to 5 different ad sets, as well as having in your 3 ads per ad set. Now, all you're going to have to do after that is press review and publish. You should know that it can take a little bit of time for the review process to happen. Facebook's going to make sure that you're not putting anything weird up there, basically. But generally, it should be kind of okay. That's also why, if you're running it on a release, I'd recommend scheduling your ads at least a week in advance. In this example, we're doing it with a playlist, and I do want to kind of riff on that and tell you a little bit more about why I'd recommend starting it off as with playlists as a beginner. And I do mention that earlier in the course material that a big reason is that it can be easy to target bots, and it can be easy when you're first starting to not really know what audiences to target at first. So it's a nice idea to start with playlist campaigns because, for one, it's not a new release, so there's a lot less stress trying to dial everything in and get everything running perfectly. But another really big reason is that it can really be helpful when dialing in your ads to make sure that you're not hitting any bots or click farms or anything like that. And there's a very specific way that you can do this. So by heading over to the Spotify for Artists dashboard, as you can see right here, you can head over to Music, and you can go over to your song. So we'll use this same example. I have a song called Soul Food. And then what you can do is you can actually click Playlists. And then what you can do is you can see right here, this is my name, first name and last name, and I have my own playlist called Lo-Fi Running Beats to Run To. And I can see specifically in the last 28 days that this playlist that I have has brought in 421 streams. So this is really important when you're first starting out, because that way what you can do is you can run ads for a day, hop into the Spotify for Artists dashboard, click this, get to this playlist section for this song. You can actually go to the last 24 hours, and you can see that in the last 24 hours, this playlist has gotten me 20 streams. And that's really important because this is going to be a very simple and effective way for you to jump into the very effective way for you to jump into the Spotify for Artists dashboard, and then jump into the song, and then confirm after a day's data has been collected that you spent X money on ads, and very specifically that playlist has brought in X amount of streams. If the playlist, say on Facebook, it says you got 20 conversions, view contents, whatever it is, cost per result, and you head over back into the Spotify for Artists dashboard, and granted, of course, if this is you are sending the music link to that playlist, if you come back in here and you see that the playlist has got you 0 streams, that means your Facebook ads are not working. That means you're going to need to make sure that you're hitting, locations that don't have bots. You might need to rethink your target audience, stuff like that. You might want to give it a couple days, maybe 1, 2, 3 days. Make sure that you give it some time to work correctly, but this is a really fail-safe way for you to jump in, make sure that your ads are actually, driving streams. Because if you do not do it this way, the only other way that you can kind of tell is if you, instead of sending it to a specific playlist, if you are sending it to your profile, you can kind of tell by heading over to like the main page of the song and then heading down, and you can see just by judging the percentage of streams from your profile and catalog, which is not a very very, very, you can't really confirm that it's coming from Facebook ads in here. You're doing a little bit of guesswork. That's really one of the biggest reasons I would recommend starting with playlist campaigns, is because you can 100% confirm that your targeting and your ads are working. And then also this will just make it a lot easier so that when you are gearing up to promote a new release with Facebook ads, with this same method, you would do it almost exactly the same, but just change that button to go directly to the song or directly to your profile instead of to a playlist. At least when you get to that point, you can use the targeting audiences that you've used previously in the Facebook ads campaign you created for a playlist, and you can be rest assured knowing that this kind of setup does actually work for you and does drive meaningful streams, so that you're not wasting your money and getting all stressed out during a new release. And that really kind of finishes this off. I think this is quite a long video, so I will end it at that. Other than that, good luck with setting up your playlist campaigns and running ads to your music. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video or in the next lesson and all that kind of stuff. Take it easy, my friend. Hello again, my friend. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about all this stuff, again, there is a link in the description below where you can get access to the beginner's guide for Facebook ads, for Spotify success, and check out the full course as well. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did get something useful out of this, and I'll see you in the next video, and good luck on your next release and building out your Spotify playlist. I'll see you, my friend.